this year for the closest, tightest, and most exciting production car racing in North America. Speed World Challenge GT is next. Speed Channel welcomes you north of the border to Mosport International Raceway here in Ontario, Canada, for the next round, round 6 of the Speed World Challenge GT Championship, part of the SCCA World Challenge. As always, a great crowd on hand here to watch this production car racing at its best. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie along with Dorsey Schrader and Brian Till working pit lane. It's been a thrilling championship thus far. 5 rounds, 5 different winners. And as you can see, a great variety of cars in the winner's circle. Can we make it a record 6th today? We will find out. One man who was trying to be that 6th different winner is a hero here in Canada, and he's with Brian Till.
Well, a lot of people call Ron Fellows the mayor of Mosport, and I actually heard somebody joking today about how he was probably born over in the apex of Turn 2. And Ron, I know you've won in a lot of different types of cars here at Mosport, but this Cadillac CTS-V 4-door is very different than the Corvette you're used to driving. What's it take to adapt?
Well, the biggest difference is the Corvette's got a lot more downforce. It's more of a purpose-built race car, Michelin slicks. But this, I'll tell you what, the CTS-V got in it yesterday for the first time, and it's a neat race car. A lot of fun to drive. But it's on a production car. It's much more production-based. But the guys at Pratt Miller and GM Racing have done a great job. This thing's a lot of fun to drive, and they with the transition for me is when you go from the Corvette to here, I've got to be a little bit more careful because it doesn't brake as deep, doesn't corner as well. So this is the place where you kind of got to remind yourself of what the limitation is.
Well, the other thing that you have to work on that you haven't been doing, standing starts. When was the last time you even did one?
Probably when you were in Formula Atlantic. Yeah.
I think it was 1990 in Toronto. We raced together, standing start. If he can get this thing off at the green light and get out in front, he has a chance to win here, but more importantly, he has a chance to gain valuable manufacturing points for Cadillac.
And Brian, those manufacturer points are a real talking point at the moment. Just 5 separating Audi and Cadillac and Dodge, with thanks to that most recent victory from Tommy Archer, not too far back either. Speaking of championship points for the first time this year, Tommy Archer leads the way after that terrific flag-to-flag victory in Portland, Oregon, not that long ago. Well, it's one of the best circuits we visit on an annual basis, and the man sitting with me, Dorsey Schrader, knows this place very, very well. Dorsey, talk us round.
Mosport is a driver's race car track. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Turn 1 and Turn 2 are so incredibly fast, and if you get off the racetrack there, you won't be coming back. Down through the 4, down into the Moss corners, down on the far end, you come on the back straightaway. It's a very windy, undulating straightaway, uphill, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of room for passing and a lot of room for racing. We'll see it all day today.
Time to take a look at how they will line up here at Mosport today for the second time this year. Max the Axe Angelelli sits on pole alongside fellow Italian Michael Gallardi. Ron Fellows, terrific qualifying effort first up in the CTS-V. And there he is, the reigning champion Randy Popes alongside. Michael Culver, another Canadian driver, starts alongside Lou Gilotti. Leighton Reese, who's really finding form as this season grows old. Fast Phil McClure and Tommy Archer, the most recent winner. We look through the rest of the field. If you can pinpoint one key point, Dorsey, about this place, what's the secret?
Well, I tell you, there's little tricks that Ron Fellows taught me. We're going to have to watch him. Little tricks where you can pass where you don't think you can be passed. He showed me some things.
You see a gap there, and that was for Ron Fellows on the second row. He will not start from the grid. He will start pit lane. They missed the parade lap, tinkering with the car, and time beat them. So some frustration already for Ron Fellows. Our onboard looks. Fast Phil McClure in the Aggregate Industries 3R Racing Corvette. He starts a little further down the field. Won here last year. The Corvette is fast here, we know that. Andy Pilgrim, as always, gives us this great onboard shot. And Andy has been very, very consistent this year. Looking forward to watching him race today. And Mike Gallardi starting right up front. Can he take the fight to Angelelli? Angelelli has a lot to prove after the previous 2 rounds. And Tony Gaples also will start from pit lane. He has just made an engine change.
Starting for pit lane here at Mosport is not that bad a deal, really, because it's downhill through Turn 1.
Moments away. Let's get ready to roll here at Mosport. Angelelli on pole, but the Audis fly as per usual. And Michael Culver got a great start in the Porsche.
Somebody in a Viper in the grass on the outside did not get a good start, but doesn't wreck anyway.
Bob Woodhouse, that was running a little wide, and he's able to bring it back on, as you can see, threatening skies above.
Wow.
Fingers crossed that the rain stays away.
Look at those Audis. Look at the grip they've got on the out lap. That's just turn 2 they're going in. Holy moly, that's fast.
Gallardi and Popes flying on the opening lap from Angelelli, Culver and Lou Gelati.
Here they gain momentum out of turn 3, headed for turn 4. Turn 4, flat out if you got a good car underneath you. Right down this hill you go. You don't want to get it wrong here.
Riding with Andy Pilgrim.
This is the Moss corners coming onto the long back straightaway. And take a look at this now, because it's not very straight at all. This is the back straightaway. You got a good left-hand corner here. You're going to go up this hill, off to the right a little bit. You got to really watch your mirrors here. Make sure people are not too close on the right or left, because you really need all the racetrack when you get up here to this corner.
Mike Gallardi leads the way from Randy Popes. Culver is fending off Lou Gelati early. Lou has made some great ground, and they're both closing in on Max Angelelli, the first of the 3 Cadillac CTSVs. Remember, the Audis carrying that extra weight after their success early in the season at Lime Rock Park and at Mid-Ohio, carrying an extra 150 pounds besides the rewards weight from the way they started the season at Sebring, but they're off to a flying start.
And that weight tends to actually get worse on the car further deeper into the race. At the beginning of the race, that 150 or so pounds isn't that much, but let it wear on the tires and let it wear on the drive line, and further down the road it really starts to pay off.
Great battle here, Dorse for third. Angelelli, Culver, Gelati. We're on board with Pilgrim, and he's putting the move on Tommy Archer.
Quite flat. You hear right there, Andy Pilgrim having to get up. Oh, we got a big problem up in front of us. That's Leighton Reese, who just about got in trouble there.
He's being pressured and hassled by Phil McClure. Time to take a look at the replay of the start. Watch to the left. Watch those Audis fly.
All-wheel drive, and man, they just dig in, and look at how much advantage they get right off the top.
Mike Culver almost got an inside run on Angelelli as well, so the Porsche took off nicely. And Bob Woodhouse getting himself back from the grass onto the track, on board with Andy Pilgrim. Whoa,
Whoa.
Contact there with Tommy Archer.
Yeah, they got together just a little bit. Look at the 2 Audis just flying up there.
Back to the front. Things haven't changed up front. This battle continues though between Tommy Archer and Andy Pilgrim, and just ahead of those guys, McClure on Leighton Reese.
This corner here, turn 2, is completely blind. When you turn in, you come down this hill and it feels like you're going to go flying right off the road there, and a lot of people have before. Really one of the challenging corners.
Here we go, Pilgrim on. Archer, gotcha.
That's the exact move Ron Fellows taught me some years back. A late push to the inside and get inside underneath the guy in turn 3. You don't expect it there. He never did it more than once to me.
That was the payback for the little nudge on the start line.
There's not much room there. That's a tricky maneuver, but I tell you what, Ronnie did it with some success, and everybody that was smart learned from it.
First time we get to see some new cars here at Mosport as far as the first run out for the CTSV, and a full field like we've got so many competitors in the Viper competition coupes. They get to stretch their legs on this very, very fast circuit. On board with Andy.
Watch this pass now. Nobody expects this to happen. See, there's no, boy, I mean, there's just hardly any room right there. You could have a big wreck if you got it wrong.
Great move by Andy Pilgrim. So he gets up 1 place. They settle into a rhythm up front now. Archer continuing to battle. Brian has an update on him.
Tommy Archer struggling a bit here this weekend, qualified 10th. Don't forget he won the last GT round, but he's carrying 210 pounds worth of rewards weight. And even though that Viper very slippery in a straight line, it comes at the cost of not a lot of downforce, and that downforce really hurts him around this very twisty, high-speed Mosport circuit. Fast down the straightaways, but very difficult to handle in the corner, guys.
It's all about consistency and gathering points. That's what Tommy has done so well this year. We'll see if he can do it again. Stay with us.
Think of
Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by Toyo Tires, driven to perform. Welcome back, everyone. We continue here with the Speed World Challenge GT Championship, round 6. I'm not sure, Dorsey, but it looked like Mike Gallardi's door may have been just slightly ajar. See if we can take a look at it. Looked like the rear door was open. It's a little difficult to tell from that angle, but it's not stopping Mike Gallardi out in front. He's doing a great job from start to now. He has led the entire way. But Brian Till has more on this door situation.
Well, down here in the Champion Audi pit, the officials talking to Lewis Malone right now about that loose back door. Obviously, the childproof lock's not on that door when they sit Gallardi out, but they're conversing with him right now. Hopefully, they're saying the door will close under air pressure. But the officials down here saying if it doesn't get fixed, they may have to bring Michael Gallardi in. And how painful would that be after leading this race so early on?
Oh, that time you got to see it. It is totally open. Now, Michael won't know that that's open anyway unless he sees it out that side view mirror. I mean, he's not aware of that happening from inside the car.
While we were away, you can see there's been a positional change. Lou Gelati has not only got by Mike Culver, but now he's starting to make a big impression on Max Angelelli.
Angelelli gave him the squeeze play, and I'm telling you, you're doing 140 miles an hour right there up that straightaway. You don't want to bump.
The 3-time World Challenge champion making his return to the series this year in the LG Motorsports Corvette, and this is the best run we've seen Lou have this year.
Yeah, Lou's car looks really, really good right now on the handling. It's not sliding around as much as the Cadillac is. Looks very stable.
Culver, Leighton Reese still being able to hold off Phil McClure, Andy Pilgrim and Tommy Archer. Meanwhile, Ron Fellows making steady progress through the field after having to start in pit lane.
Angelelli's beginning to be a nuisance now with Randy Popes. He's caught up to the back of Randy, and he's trying to put the pressure on. Right here is where Ron Fellows makes that inside cut at the last moment. I tell you what, Lou Gelati on the move.
And all the while, even with the rear door problem, Mike Gallardi is skipping away.
That probably will close itself sooner or later. If it opens hard enough that it can close hard enough, it'll probably stay shut.
Fellows up to 17th, incidentally, in this 24-car field, so he's made up a good amount of positions already this early in the race.
Michael Culver in the Porsche, white Porsche right there, has also caught up to Gelati and Angelelli. Look, now Gelati makes the outside run. It's the wrong side of the racetrack to be at the end of the straightaway, but it's the only opportunity left open to him. Look how close they get.
Angelelli and Lou Gelati side by side. Angelelli not wanting to give that position up. Great driving, Lou Gelati, right around the outside.
Yeah, that right there was really a gutsy maneuver because all he had to do, Angelelli, was just touch the quarter panel, and that would have been it for Lou. Lou was banking on the fact that he wouldn't take him out.
And that's allowed Michael Culver to come up into play as well in the first racing. Porsche 911. Culver's now right with the Cadillac driver.
Yeah, Gelati's starting to pull away too. I think he's got a lot of race car this weekend.
On board with Fast Phil, he's starting to make an impression, more of an impression on Leighton Reese in the Banner Corvette. Time to the pits. Brian, what do you have for us?
Phil McClure definitely improving on his 9th place starting position. They had an electrical gremlin in that engine, had a misfire, and he feels like they've gotten it sorted out. The car should be good for the race. He also said, hey, don't forget, I started 9th last year, and look what happened. I won.
And it was a great win, too. He got it just because John Young was firing and flying through the field. One more lap, John Young may have had it this time last year, but not the case. Phil won. But you kind of get that feeling, Dorsey, that it's just a little tougher this year.
Yeah, I was listening to the throttle right there when we were riding on board with Phil. He's unable to do turn 4 back there flat down the hill. He's going to have to feather a little bit. So possibly the handling not quite what it could be.
Leighton Reese now starting to apply the pressure, maximum pressure on Mike Culver. So it was only half a lap ago that Culver was putting the moves on Max Angelelli. Now he's having to defend. And this is a great freight train of cars we got running here at Mosport.
This turn 1, you see where it just drops down a little bit right there. Here's Ronnie Fellows right now, as a matter of fact. He's up to 15th from dead last.
Good run, and he continues to make ground. We will follow his progress when we return. Speed World Challenge from Mosport. Back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone, as the Speed GT doubleheader weekend continues here at Mosport International. And the front row starter, Michael Galati, Mid-Ohio race winner, Michael Galati, and 5 times series champion, Mike Galati, leads the way and will be enjoying this clear space ahead of his teammate, Randy Popes. But the man on the move, the biggest mover of the race, has been Lou Gelati. Max Angelelli right behind. Gelati now starting to make a move on Randy Popes. This is where he rounded up Angelelli. Can't do it.
He's got a lot of straightaway speed on the end of on the long straightaway right there, but there's nowhere to go with that.
And remember too that Lou Gelati not carrying as much rewards weight as the 2 cars up ahead. Let's get an update from Brian on the rear door situation.
Well, the Champion Racing guys not the only ones concerned about that back door, the passenger door on Michael Galati's car. Dave Spitzer from Cadillac also over talking to the officials saying, I just want to clarify the rules. I want to understand what's going on. I want to know what to expect. So that back door getting a lot of attention, not only from Champion Audi, not only from the officials, but also from the Cadillac team.
Of course, the Cadillac guys would love to have to pull that Audi off the racetrack, wouldn't they? But that door is of no problem to anybody right now.
Well, it seems as though it's shut itself again.
I think it did. I think it got open far enough that it slammed itself shut and is now holding. However, it's the Cadillac team's job to snivel.
Well, you got to do that, don't you? It's
yeah, you do.
Competition's all about. Get any advantage any way you can. Max Angelelli, our pole sitter, incidentally set a new qualifying lap record here at Mosport. Now starts to return the favour on Lou Gelati. And as we've seen time and time again, these Cadillac CTSVs are very good in the latter half of the race.
Yeah, that's funny, but they do seem to come on toward the end. No question about that. Either they stay more constant or the other cars drop off. But at the end of these races, particularly Andy Pilgrim gets very quick.
Leighton Reese on Michael Culver and Lou Gelati on Randy Popes. There's moves happening everywhere out there.
Corvette's at the top end, no question about that. You see him at the top of the straightaway with all that speed, but the Audi guys are not going to let him pass on the inside, and it's a long way around turn 9 from the outside.
On board with McClure. Let's take a listen.
Love this next corner. Listen to this one.
Because of the such high speeds here, Dorsey, I imagine, as we look at Andy Pilgrim having a look at Phil McClure, because of the extreme high speeds here, I imagine you've got to be pretty careful and nice and precise with your throttle application.
Yeah, you do, and you heard him right there. Phil McClure, when he got into the middle of that corner, turn 2, he went from off throttle to a neutral throttle. Unless all he did was he picked the RPM up to the same as the rear wheels were turning. Then he added the throttle. He didn't just go straight to the throttle. It's a nice little blend.
You ever gassed it a little too hard here?
You go right back down that ditch. You did. I did in qualifying, actually pre-qualifying. This straightaway is tricky, it really is, because it's up over these hills and this little right-hand bend, and you're going so quick.
Well, look at this. Lou Gelati is persistent. He is not giving up. There's the lead margin, Gelati to Popes, but Gelati in the LG Motorsports Corvette doing a great job and just hounding the reigning champion.
The Corvette looks really good. The handling right on the money.
As we said a little earlier, this is the best run we've seen Lou Gelati have. He's come from the back, through and past many people, but this is his most consistent run at the front. Brian Till.
Lou Gelati having a great run from his 6th place starting position. I just spoke to his son, the crew chief on that car, Lou Gelati, and I asked him, I said, how's Dad doing? He said, he's doing great. I just have to keep him calm right now. No bumping, can't bump anybody to get by him. I got to keep him calm in the car, and we'll be good to the end.
Keeping him calm is not that easy a job. It's a full man's job right there.
Well, it looks like he's remaining calm enough because he's handling it very, very well at the moment. Yet to see him on the podium here is Ron Fellows getting yet another position, and he is up to 10th place in his first drive in the CTSV.
And that was exactly the place I told you Ron Fellows taught me that trick back there in turn 3. Moves underneath someone. He just times it perfectly, and it catches you off guard.
And the range of cars that Ron Fellows is driving in a period of just a few weeks. Look at this.
There we go.
Gelati on the outside of Popes. This is the best position he's been in, and he's got him. Great move, Lou Gelati. Slots in. Whoa, he made quick work of it too, and I think he might have made Randy just hold up, pull up a little bit there.
Well, I tell you what, he's been working Randy over on all of the fast ends of this racetrack. But the Corvette, look at it. It really has a lot of grip. I've been watching the front tires. There's not any understeer, and he's not sliding coming off these corners. He's really got that nailed.
Whatever went down there with Gilotti and Popes has allowed Max Angelelli to close in and really get a good close look now at Randy Popes, perhaps the best he's had in many, many laps. A good solid drive too from Mike Culver. Meanwhile, further back in the pack, Ron Fellows continues to make ground and good progress, and there's some interested onlookers. Doug Feehan and Johnny O'Connell.
30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, only on Speed.
Each Monday here on Speed at 9 p.m. Test an armor-plated car, get tips on how to drive like a spy and catch the latest road test of the most exotic European supercars. Join my mate Tiff Needell each Monday night, 5th Gear, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. Tony Gapel's there, following in Ron Fellows' wake as both those guys started from pit lane earlier in the race. You can see there Tommy Archer's been dropped off this tail as Andy Pilgrim now continues this constant pressure on Phil McClure and Leighton Reese. Let's ride with Phil McClure now.
Gently, he's got to put that throttle on so he doesn't spin the tires.
Fresh from a great podium result at Portland just 2 weeks ago. The man who was victorious on 2 occasions last year, this being one of those tracks, is in the middle of perhaps the toughest dogfight of the year. This has been the race of the year so far, to have this many cars right up front and all dicing for position.
You look right there, fast Phil McClure really able to pull away from Andy Pilgrim's Cadillac coming off the Moss corners. He really opened a big gap right there.
It's Audi, Corvette, Audi, Cadillac, Porsche. 2 Corvettes and another Cadillac. What an array of cars in the Speed GT Championship. And no more news on the Galati rear door situation. I think that is all over with now. That seems to have settled down. We continue to ride with Pilgrim.
I love it when things fix themselves like this. This turn 2, listen, he'll get off the throttle, he'll turn in, now start blending a little throttle in here. Try to go full throttle right here. There you go. Come off the outside, up here to this braking zone. Look at the Corvette in front there. It really just launches right out away from him. McClure able to, looks like just like he's got more horsepower.
A little further back, Ron Fellows is maintaining 10th, but closing in. Oh, no, the door situation's not over. Look at it flying open as Lou Gilotti has caught right up now to our race leader. Randy Popes goes wide, way wide.
Lucky for the all-wheel drive there. Keeps him going. That door did open quite a lot that time.
And look at that, it has not affected him at all as he goes whipping by Lou Gilotti. And now Angelelli wants a shot as well. I mentioned earlier there were interested onlookers. Brian Till is with another one.
One of the most interesting bystanders down here, JJ Lato. And JJ, you're standing down here behind the GM tent. I don't see any hidden devices on you to talk to the guys out on the racetrack, but it looks like you're spying a little bit. Great racing out there. Kind of wish you were out there too?
Well, you know, it looks really good, interesting as well, because it drizzles a little bit all the time, so maybe it gets wet, and, you know, it's even better for the Quattro Audis, but, you know, the guys are doing a really good job, and it seemed to be that they had some problems with the rear door or something, you know, earlier on, so they were saying, oh, that's some sort of device, you know, for the aerodynamics, and I said, you know, shut up, you know, this is racing, and, you know, just keep on going, you know, with that way, but it looks good. It's really close racing and looks good.
Well, champion running 1-2 right now. I'm sure you guys have been sitting around talking about these things. Can they keep tires underneath them for the length of this deal?
Well, I think that's good for the Audis this time because it's cooler weather, so the tires will hold up better. But, you know, it's tough for them. You know, you can see it all the time that they are slipping and sliding all over the place. But it seems to be that there's some highs and lows with those tires. You know, sometimes you get a couple of laps really fast, and then it drops down a little bit. They have to cool them down a little bit and then push again. So it's up to those guys, you know. It's just nice, you know, to look and see, you know, what they're doing and how they're doing it.
They can let you out there in one of those one time?
Well, we will see. I don't know yet. We'll see.
It's starting to rain a little bit, and if anybody has the advantage now, it's going to be the Audis, guys.
Wow, did you see the amount of ground that Randy Pope's closed in there? The Audi boys are going 1-2. That was champion Audi's JJ Lato. We'll have more of the Speed GT in just a moment.
Journalist, we start Monday night at 10 Eastern.
You're watching round 6 of the SCCA Speed World Challenge GT Championship here on Speed. Welcome back to Mosport. Threatening weather here in Ontario as the Audi guys go hard at it at the front. No positions changed there after Randy Popes has got by Lou Gelati. It is still 1-2. Gelati, Popes, then Gelati, then Angelelli, Mike Culver. Can you believe how close these guys are, Dorsey, and have remained that way?
Yeah, and it's not going to remain that way if it rains, though. Those Audis have a huge advantage if it should get wet.
Let's get an update on the weather. Here's Brian.
Well, the raindrops starting to fall around this Mosport circuit. The problem is Mosport is such a big racetrack. It's long and skinny. It's raining in the back, but over here in pit lane, just a few drops. There were actually shadows on the ground earlier. Teams laying out the rain tires, and the rain tires have these big channels, these big grooves to help dissipate the water. The problem right now, they don't need that on half of the racetrack. And if you go to a rain tire right now on the dry sections of the racetrack, these big chunks of rubber will start to come off. The handling will go away. So for right now, the guys are going to have to deal with the slicks that they've got on the car.
Brian, that's a good point about Mosport, because at one end of this racetrack it could be raining quite hard, and at the other end totally dry. And without a spotter or an observer, a race car driver, you get down the other end and you don't know that it's wet, you can have a big, horrible problem.
You may have noticed while we were away that Phil McClure and Andy Pilgrim both managed to get by Leighton Reese. Meanwhile, Culver now starts to work on Max Angelelli.
This little bit of rain that's coming down right now won't have any effect at all on these cars. The tire's totally up to temperature. They've got enough heat in them that when they run across the little wet things, that they still have so much grip it doesn't make a difference. But as a driver, I tell you what, you see that hitting the windscreen and you start thinking, oh boy, you know, what's it going to be like when I get around this next corner?
A couple of positions back is Tommy Archer from where we ride now with Phil McClure, and he's been able to close that gap. You may remember earlier he seemed to be falling off the tail. Ooh. Culver looks for a desperate inside line, but not close enough, and he may lose his position to Phil McClure. Whoa, almost contact.
He should have right there. That was a mistake by Michael Culver. Got down in the brake zone from Moss Corners, went to the inside too much, and that really tightened up the apex. When he did that, it left him open on the inside. McClure let him have the room, though. Listen to this. Andy Pilgrim's not full throttle up the straightaway. Well, he hit the rev limiter on top of that.
Nice inside move. Boy, that was coming from a long way back. And Pilgrim just steadily, slowly makes his progress and makes his moves. And I really enjoyed watching Andy Pilgrim in the World Challenge this year. He's done nothing desperate, nothing silly.
That was strange, though, to hear the onboard engine sounds and not having a full throttle up the straightaway. It sounded like he was feathering. Probably to time that pass, just trying to get a pass going. But he hit the rev limiter either way.
We've got a replay of the Andy Pilgrim pass. Dorsey, talk us through.
Well, he's setting it up back. That's why he lifted. They were 3 wide back there for a minute. I didn't see that. He was under pressure back there. That's why he had to get out of the throttle. We heard him feather for a minute.
Leighton Reese fending off Tommy Archer.
It just didn't sit right for me that he was lifted in the straightaway well before the corner, but now I know why. We're about to have a wreck.
Gelati, Popes, Angelelli, that's the top 3. Here comes Pilgrim on Culver now. This is slight contact. McClure wants back in. Fast Phil is there.
That's the problem right there. You're battling with the guy in front and you forget about the guy behind you. Andy tries to get along Culver and leaves himself open, and now here goes Archer by 2. Loses 2 positions.
In very short time. Look at Phil moving over on his 3R Racing teammate, but Tommy Archer's not having anything of that. What a run for that Viper competition coupe. 2 positions as quick as you like. The battle for third continues. Angelelli holding off Gelati rather. And now Pilgrim wants to return the favor and does so.
Yeah, that's a good outbreaking maneuver right on the front straightaway. Set it up perfectly. Uh-oh.
Leighton Reese now looks at
Don't
McClure.
do that.
These guys are chopping each other up everywhere.
Oh, that was nearly a big one right there. You don't go 3 wide in turn 1, guys. Come on.
They are going hard at it as we get toward the end of this one. Stick around. The best is yet to come. You're watching arguably the race of the year in the Speed GT Championship from Mosport International here in Ontario, Canada. As we see ALMS GTS champion, Le Mans 24-hour class winner Ron Fellows, local hero, has made a tremendous run from the back of the pack and is trying to catch this lead group. He's all by himself, but how long will that last? Brian Till has more.
Well, Ron Fellows, even though he had to start from pit lane, has just turned the fastest lap of the race. And the thing about starting from pit lane, normally on warm conditions, you could really burn the tires down trying to catch up. But as cool as it is right now, Ron Fellows has the temperature going for him, and obviously he's got that Cadillac CTS-V working very much to his liking, guys.
Dorsey, is it good out running by yourself out there playing catch up?
Well, it is, and you know, all this battling up front is slowing these guys. Speaking of battling up front, look at this. Oh, see, that's slowing these guys down. When you got to be defensive about every corner and so forth, the whole lead pack will be slower because of that. Ron Fellows in clean air from behind turns the fastest race lap so far. He's coming.
Look at this, Angelelli's coming as well, almost side by side with Randy Pobst. So he's got a little hurry along after that contact with Lou Gelati. Now Gelati switches to the inside line, almost, not quite. Now we see side by side the battle for sixth between Pilgrim and Archer.
And they bumped, no question about it. Good bump right there. I think the Audi, at least in the case of Andy Pilgrim. Oh, there goes Phil McClure up the inside. In the case of Randy Pobst, I think maybe his Audi's front tires are starting to go off a little bit. He's starting to pick up a lot of understeer, and he's falling victim now to these guys from behind.
The thing that's noticeable so far, Dorsey.
Uh-oh.
We've lost Thomas
Tom
Oates.
and he's in the wall.
The Tiger Racing Corvette. They done.
Oh,
and Lou Gelati's gone. Two Corvettes. Bang, bang. Oates and Gelati. Gelati's car is okay, though.
Yeah, he didn't get into the wall, but Oates most definitely is in. There he is right there, as a matter of fact. Now, you got to wonder if there's a little rain there or oil or something's happened in that corner.
Bob Woodhouse gets going again also. So Lou Gelati is effectively taken out of this front running and perhaps chance of a podium. Here's the replay.
No, there was no oil involved there. That was Lou Gelati and Culver. Gelati coming up with the worst end of that deal.
Here it is.
That's in turn 3 again. Oh yeah, he definitely. That's why I said if you get it wrong and you bump somebody there. Now Lou, real lucky not to have a wreck. Look at this, down the front straightaway, 3 wide. Now you can do that.
Phil McClure says this is how we do it in the dirt track back in Iowa every Friday night. Plenty of passes back there. Stick around. Back at Mosport, you ride with Ron Fellows in the Cadillac CTS-V, the third Cadillac CTS-V, and look at the rain coming down.
All the way up to 9th place already, but now that he's caught the tail end of the lead bunch of cars, passing these guys is a lot harder now.
It's the lap car of Bob Woodhouse immediately ahead.
Now remember, Ron Fellows' Cadillac has no rewards weight. It's in its base weight right now. It should be fast.
Fourth different driver this year in the CTS-Vs. Of course, we saw GM star John Heinrichsey perform very well at Mid-Ohio and grab a podium there behind the 2 Audis.
Boy, these guys still going at it hard.
Well, now traffic's coming into play, isn't it, Dors?
Yeah, and this traffic on this racetrack, unless they're watching their mirrors and give you a break, it gets pretty tenuous.
Replay here. On board with Andy Pilgrim.
Trying to get by fast Phil McClure in the 73 right there. He's going to try this inside maneuver and does so.
And
you know what? McClure was blocked heavily on the outside line there.
I mentioned the traffic does come into play. Andy Pilgrim still fighting hard for it. He's got Tommy Archer to deal with, then Mike Culver. Here's the lead threesome though. Audi, Cadillac. And this is the key battle in the Manufacturers' Championship. Back on board with Fellows.
This end of the race circuit seems to have more rain on it. Definitely going to be slipperier here than it would be up on the other side where we don't see on the front straightaway that much rain.
Incidentally, the numbers on the Cadillacs, the 8, the 12, and the 16, representative of all different cars that Cadillac have produced as far as cylinders.
Look at Culver up the inside with the Porsche again. A little twitch under braking there. That's trying to get 4th place.
Good work from Tommy Archer, so he puts Culver back in position. Does he have anything for these lead trio? This lead trio, oh, on the inside! Pilgrim just gives Culver a nudge.
Yeah, Michael, you see him on the outside opposite lock. Definitely bumped. Watch this in turn 1. Now he's got it. Now he doesn't got it.
Culver's hanging tough. He's been in the middle of a few things today. Rain coming down and checkered flag nearby.
$19 a month today.
Racing to the checkered flag here at Mosport as we ride with Ron Fellows, local star, first run ever in the Speed World Challenge Championship, and we love having him here. Can't wait to hear what he has to say after this one. Double-header weekend, he'll get another shot at it tomorrow. He's hassling Phil McClure in the Aggregate Industries 3R Racing Corvette. On board with Phil now.
Dare I say there's no more experienced man around this racetrack than Ron Fellows, so he knows all the tricks. Phil's going to have to find his way by Leighton Reese here. That's what he's thinking too.
It has been the best race of the year. Audi versus Cadillac, Corvette versus Viper, Cadillac in the middle, whatever you like. What do you think, Brian? It's been terrific.
Some of the closest racing we've seen all year here at Mosport, and probably under the most difficult conditions. Very fast racetrack, and it's raining, and the competition very close. And you got to wonder, Dorsey, I mean, when are we going to see the big one out there? These guys running this close under these difficult conditions. You got to wonder if it's not just a few corners away.
Well, Brian, you're right about that, because at the end of the straightaway is one of those corners that could well happen. Turn 9 up here, it's wide enough to get 2 or 3 wide, but it's very fast, well over 100 mile per hour. And well, speaking of bumping.
Oh, that was this Pilgrim and Leighton Reese going hard at it. Battle for 6th.
Time and time again, you see guys get anxious right here, get bumped into, or down the front straightaway here, try to get 2 or 3 wide. You just can't go off around this place without having a big accident.
Meanwhile, the stealth man in this race has been Tommy Archer.
He's always a stealth guy. He kind of hangs around 4th or 5th, you know, amassing points, and at the end there, he makes up all the ground and wins the race.
Started 10th, finished 4th. Rather, he runs 4th, I should say. Oh, Angelelli thought about it there on Popes. Popes shut the door promptly.
Max trying desperately now with not very many laps left. Any way he can to get by that Audi.
We started this
lap
race.
Traffic in the way. That's going to slow up Michael Galati.
We started this race talking about the storyline of the potential of 6 different race winners from 6 races this year. Almost contact.
Yeah.
There is contact between McClure and
save,
Leighton Reese.
What a save, Leighton Reese.
And Culver went off track there at the
Culver's
same
been off
time.
with the Porsche. Now Culver's going to really pay the penalty for this. He's lost all his momentum. Yeah, he's going to be the one that suffered from this.
Leighton Reese, sprint car style, sideways.
That was a great save.
And hung on to it. Mike Galati with the flapping rear door. It hasn't affected him 29 laps later. He's remained out in front right from the word go and is approaching the white flag. So he has just 1 lap left to run of Mosport. Gets it out, dirt track style. 1 to go for Galati, and he'll have his 2nd win of the year.
It's just a matter of time. Someone's going to complain that they're using that door as an air brake. Look at this down in Moss Corners. Everybody what a save, Leighton Reese. Great piece of driving right there.
Culver went on the grass to avoid some traffic, but in the end didn't get by them.
Watch Culver in the white Porsche to the outside. I think he's pushed off pretty much.
No doubt Leighton Reese got a little bit of a push. On board with Ron Fellows. Watch ahead. Dunk.
Ronnie liked that. So you guys just take each other out, let me go.
In the second half of that, though, quite polite from Phil McClure because he got out of it. He could have turned Leighton right around if he wanted to, but
definitely.
So they're at it. They are at it hard. Brian, what do you have?
The drive of the race probably goes to Tommy Archer, who started back in 10th. He's worked his way up to 3rd. He is the points leader. He should hang on to those points, but Galati, if he can hold on to the win, he's going to close the gap, guys.
I'll tell you what, Archer really is a stealthy guy. He'll hang out and stay out of trouble. And toward the end here, he'll get the car up to where it needs to do.
There'll be frustration from the Cadillac camp, though. Angelelli has redeemed himself after those mistakes in the past 2 races where he has crashed out, particularly Portland, where he crashed heavy and the guys in the team had to strip the car right back and work so hard to get it here. But nonetheless, more points, but it's all about Galati. Second win of the season, the first 2-time winner of the season, and it's on right to the checkered flag. McClure almost got by Culver. The battle for 7th a little further back. Be some frustration from Culver's part as well after running a lot further up front. But the race of the year, no doubt, goes to Mike Galati. It's an Audi 1-2 for the champion boys. Well done to them. But the scraps were on further back.
Boy, they were on all the way through 10th place. Top 10 cars really mixing it up hard. Truly one of the better races we've seen all year, no question. Everybody really having a good shot at winning today.
Understandably, Michael Galati is pumped. He's not new to winning. He knows what it feels like many, many times. But that one was a difficult one. When we return, we'll hear from him and the other boys.
Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by Toyo Tires. Driven to perform.
Welcome back to Mosport. Time to hear from the Audi boys with Brian Till.
Well, a very happy champion racing down here. Randy Pope's second place finish 2 weekends in a row, and for Michael Galati, you become the first 2-time winner this season in GT, but it was not easy out there today. As cool as it is, you're sweating, man.
No, I thought the RS6 ran fantastic. Champion did a fantastic job. Certified pre-owned, we got everybody here, but I had a good running, and then it started raining. It was a blast because I don't think we called them off. The little spin will help tremendously, you know, with the quattros, a lot better. And then I don't know what happened. I picked up this vibration really bad on the left front when I was turning right, and I'm like, I thought I was going to be done. You know, let's hold it together. Well,
you got to remember to put the child locks on the back door. I noticed you had that back door flapping.
Really? I didn't even see it. I was concentrated when I was going because I know those guys were coming. So it was pretty in full, so I was concentrated on what was going on. I didn't know that was going on.
It's the age-old line of what's behind me does not concern me, guys. In the back door, it was behind him.
Just like you said, Dorsey, he wouldn't notice it. And obviously he didn't. Well, there's the rundown, and those top 7, 8, 9, in fact, all the way back to Ron Fellows. There was nothing between them at all, and Lou Gilotta, you have to feel for him. He was battling for a podium, but in the end finished with a top 10 result nonetheless. The third 3R man, Tim Weens, finishes in 13th. The Sunoco hard charger, Tony Gaples, finishing 14th after starting 23rd. More from Brian.
Well, guys, your championship points leader stays the championship points leader, and it didn't look good early on with that 10th place qualifying, but what a great run to third, Tommy.
Well, I tell you what, we started out the race, they started pulling away, and, you know, I put my head down and said, hey, be consistent, start running your laps, and I noticed I was picking up a 10th. They weren't telling me anything, but I could see it on the track, you know, and so when we caught traffic, people started mixing it up back there, and I just said, hey, keep your head down, and they're going to make some mistakes. Somebody's going to screw somebody up, and every time that happened, I'd gain a spot or gain 2 spots. One time, I think I gained 3 on one lap. Then I lost one back, and then Max got caught on the outside of a car, and I said, go inside. And you have to make the decision that fast, but it worked good for 3R and C3 Controls and Whalen Engineering today.
It's that consistency that wins championship. Tommy Archer, the only guy that's finished in the top 5 every race so far this season.
He and Andy Pilgrim have been incredibly consistent, no doubt about that. Galati now just 1 point out of that championship lead. Of course, he was our previous points leader. Popes and Pilgrim there in the top 4 as well. And the manufacturers, it's getting interesting, isn't it? Look at the Viper. Dodge is now, with Cadillac, just 11 behind Audi. It is tight. Time to hear from our man who worked his way from the back.
Well, Ron Fellows standing down here talking a little bit with Will Moody, but Ron, I know you didn't get to start on the racetrack, but what a fantastic job. You can come back and get him maybe in the second race, yeah?
Yeah. We just did, like a qualifying delay thing, and we were messing with the cool suit, and it's my fault. We didn't quite understand the rules. It's got to get on this pre-grid or whatever you got to make. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. The CTSV is a lot of fun to drive, obviously, and I caught that lead pack, and I couldn't do anything with them when I got there. They were so close together that there was just no way that you could kind of make a move. You needed a little more gap, but it was a lot of fun, and we'll try again tomorrow.
Definitely a lot of fun, guys. I'd say it's a lot of fun. He now owns the GT track record, and I think he said it multiple times today. Lee?
Nextel Cup, Trans Am, and ALMS mess. He's done it all, hasn't he? Here's the Remus power move of the race.
It is indeed Lugilati with that power move over Max Angelelli on the end of the back straight. Good move.
And keep in mind, this is a double-header Speed GT weekend. We've got another race coming up for you right after the touring car race, which is coming up right next. If you're all about Speed World Challenge, it's all about staying on speed. Stick around. Dorsey and I will have more coming up in just a moment as the SCCA Speed World Challenge continues. After a rare weekend